The state calls Officer Zachary Desmet.
Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you give in this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
If you could please be seated, state and spell your name for the record.
Name is Zachary Desmet. First name is Zachary, Z-A-C-H-A-R-Y. Last name Desmet, D-E-S-M-E-T.
How are you employed?
The city of Cudahy.
As a police officer?
Yes, ma'am.
How long have you been with the Cudahy Police Department?
4 years.
Were you working on April 2nd, 2024?
Yes, I was.
And were you dispatched to Warnemont Park that day?
Yes, I was.
Around what time?
It was in the afternoon, early evening, late afternoon.
What were you dispatched there for?
I was dispatched there for a caller reporting that they found a human leg on the beach.
Warnemont Park, is that in the city of Cudahy?
Yes, it is. We have two parks, Sheridan Park and Warnemont. They border each other.
So the Cudahy Police Department has jurisdiction over that area?
Typically, it's the sheriff's department that handles the parks, but if there's any imminent calls that come out or anybody that needs help immediately, we'll respond initially to stabilize the scene, and then it's usually turned over to the sheriff's department if needed.
Are you familiar with that area?
Yes, I am.
Can you describe the weather that day if you remember?
The weather was pretty rough. It was rainy, very cloudy, strong winds, especially down at the beach.
What did you do when you got there?
Excuse me. I arrived on scene traveling east on Pulaski Avenue, which comes from Lake Drive into the park. The water department is on the northeast corner of the intersection. Drive down, and then you'll come into with Sheridan Drive, and then there's another drive that leads down to the actual pump house with a gate. Arrived on scene, parked on Sheridan Drive facing north, and then observed two males in the field that would lead to the gate.
That location is in the county of Milwaukee, correct?
Yes, it is.
Describe I think what you described was like a service road with a gate.
Correct, yes.
Can you describe that further?
So there's the intersection, and then before you could turn right or south into Warnemont Golf Course or north onto Sheridan Drive. But then if you continue east, it's probably, 20 yards worth of road, a service gate, and then there's a gap in the fence where people can walk themselves.
Did you notice anything unusual about the service gate when you arrived?
I did. I noticed that it was pretty heavily damaged.
So that's not a service gate that's like open to the public, right?
Not usually, no. I think only our water department has access to that.
Was there anything else aside from the gate being damaged in that area?
Not initially when I observed, no.
But you said there were two individuals in a field?
Correct.
Were you able to identify those people?
Yes, we were.
Who were they?
It was Evan Millies and Osiris Terrell.
What did you later learn they were?
The people that discovered the leg down at the beach.
Was one of them the 911 caller?
Yes.
And did you have contact with them?
Yes, I did.
What happened next?
Well, I observed them to be, especially Mr. Millies, to be in a kind of a frantic state, obviously seeing something like that. They gave me a brief rundown that they think they found a human leg at the beach and wanted to show me where it was. So I had Mr. Terrell sit in the back of my squad car. I'm more familiar with Mr. Millies, so I had him take me down to the beach. We went through that side gate, or at the opening in the fence where people can walk through freely. When you walk down, it's a steep hill, because at that point of the park, it's very cliff-like. So there's the service drive down to the actual water pump house is very steep, so we walked down there.
Can you further describe that area?
Sure. So when you're walking down the service drive, like I said, it's very steep. It's wooded on both sides with a little bit of an embankment that goes up the sides of it. And when you get down to the bottom, it's actually brand new, renovated, I think last year or the year before. It's a pretty open area for vehicles to park, and then there's a building on the right-hand side that has a fence around it that I believe has 2 security cameras, barbed wire. It comes down to the lake. There's large rocks at the end of it where it immediately abuts with Lake Michigan.
What is that building?
That's the pump house.
Okay. And that is a Cudahy city-owned building?
Correct.
You said the newly renovated parking area, is that open to the public or is that for the pump house?
That's for the pump house.
Okay, so there's not another public access to that area, is there?
That's correct, there's not.
So can the general public drive a car down there?
No, they cannot.
Can you further describe, as you're going down there with Mr. Millies, how he directs you towards the leg?
Sure. So when we got down to the bottom, he had pointed me north from there. Obviously, there's a lot of debris on the beach, driftwood, rocks, etc., so I couldn't just clearly see it, especially with the distance. Now I'm an evidence technician, so I know one thing that's really harped on in those trainings is keeping the scene secure and to not contaminate it as needed. So my initial plan was where there's the parking lot, there's kind of a steep hillside next to it where you can walk down. However, it was kind of sketchy that day because of the wetness. So my initial plan was I was going to have Mr. Millies stay up there. I was going to go down to the beach and then have him point me in the right direction as well as yell direction to me. I attempted to do that, but after, like I said, with the wind and the waves crashing, after about 20 yards, I couldn't even hear him anymore. So I reapproached him, had him come down with me. At that point, I had him walk in front of me. He had a jacket on, so I grabbed the back of his jacket just to be able to direct him. Or if I saw anything that I thought was of evidentiary value, I could direct him or prevent him from destroying or stepping on it.
Can you describe, once you leave like the parking lot pump house area, is there a path? Is it like is there a clear way to get to the beach from there?
Not really. Like I said, there's kind of a hillside on the side that is walkable, but again, depending on the conditions, it can be kind of iffy. That day was kind of rough, but we were able to get down there. The beach at that part is primarily rock, smaller rock, but still kind of generally unstable to walk on. And then you'd have the lake or Lake Michigan on your right-hand side or the east side. And then on the west side would be a steep cliff, essentially, from Warnemont and Sheridan Parks.
As you and Mr. Millies are going through that area, what, if anything, do you see?
So, like I said, there's a lot of water coming down off the sides of the cliff, a lot of debris. The waves were crashing pretty heavily. While I was walking down there before that, Mr. Millies told me that the leg was actually located on the side of the cliff, or the side of the embankment, about 10 to 15 feet up. So as we were walking north on the beach, that's where I was initially looking.
So it was up from the water line?
Yes.
Approximately how far?
10 to 15 feet, he said, up on the embankment.
At what point do you see it?
We were walking probably for a little bit, probably about 100, 125 yards. And like I said, we were both looking left to the cliff, and he was estimating and saying that like it should be right around here based on some things that he had seen. And then as we continued walking, he got startled really quick. And I was like, what's up? And he's like, it's right there. And so I had moved him to the side, and about 5 to 8 feet in front of us was the leg was located there.
And where was it relative to the embankment?
It was close to it, probably within 10 to 15 feet from the embankment.
Given the rain, was there erosion that was happening?
Yeah, there's some pretty severe, even you could see different streams cutting lines into the sides of the cliffs.
What did you do next?
At that point, I radioed my dispatchers and advised them that the leg was there, was confirmed, to request MCSO's response to shut down the scene. The only ways into the scene are from the Pump House Road and the S-curve down in Sheridan Park, which would be a significant walk, and then advise them on how to get to my location.
Before we go further in that area, can you describe how you would access that area from Sheridan Park?
From Sheridan Park, which is quite a ways north, probably at least half a mile, I'd say, or somewhere in that ballpark. You'd have to walk down a path. It's a steep path, but it goes down. It is paved down to the beach. And then you'd have to walk further south. You'd have to walk south quite a ways on that beachfront to even get to that scene.
What, when you located the leg, what were your impressions? What were you able to readily discern?
I could readily see that it was what I believe to be a black female, a leg from either a late teenager or younger black female. The leg was short and had pink nail polish on the toenails.
What did you do then?
At that point, I had Mr. Millies stay. I put him on a rock, a bigger rock there. I told him to stay there not move, and he stayed there until the MCSO, deputies Leon Martin and Michael Kruger arrived on scene, which at that point he was later escorted up there, back up the hill to where I would assume he would be interviewed further in depth.
So the sheriff's department joined you?
Correct.
In your walk with Mr. Millies down the beach and in your observations in the area around the leg, was there anything else that you located?
I believe that on the way down there, Mr. Millies made me aware that there was like a bra and maybe a t-shirt that were located, but he was unaware if it was related.
Then what did you do?
At that point, deputies Martin and Kruger took Mr. Millies back up to interview him. Upon further investigation, I mean, I was looking at the leg that it was cut from the basically hip joint down to the foot. Other than that, the leg did not appear to be disturbed, and I observed the cuts on the leg to be clean and not intentional. Or intentional, I mean.
That the cuts were or were not intentional?
Were. That they were straight, not jagged, not torn.
Did you move the leg at all?
Yes, I did. I had to move it 2 or 3 times just because the time of the day, the waves were getting, like I said, I mean, we were getting some pretty good waves and they were moving further and further inland. So 2 or 3 times I had to move the leg further west to prevent it from being taken by the water, which was documented on body camera as well.
How did you do that?
I grabbed it by the ankle with my left hand and under the thigh with my right hand. Physically picked it up, moved it about 5-10 feet, set it down in the same way that it was laying, and then advised my dispatch to log that it had been moved.
Did it appear to have been in the water or decomposed?
It did not appear to be decomposing. It appeared to be fresh just based on my experience with other deceased humans. And there was a lack of blood. I didn't really see much blood on it at all, which also could be attributed to the rain that had been coming down.
That beach area, how would you describe the area in general?
It's usually pretty calm. We don't really ever get calls there mostly. Anything, it's usually like a dog complaint or someone just kind of loitering. But it's a beautiful area. It's not frequently traveled. It's hidden, secluded. Like I said, that was the second time I've ever been down there for an actual call.
Thank you. I have nothing further.
Cross?
How long have you been a police officer?
4 years.
Okay, with Cudahy the whole time.
Yes, sir.
And Warmont Park is entirely within the geographical area of Cudahy, right?
Yes, sir.
And we have, would you agree with me that the park itself is 248 acres?
Sounds about right.
It has an 18-hole golf course,
Yes.
has a dog park.
Yes. Further south, much further south, the dog park is, but yes.
Right, because Warmont Park stretches along the coast of Lake Michigan, basically, right?
Correct, from about Pulaski Avenue down to College Avenue.
Exactly. And so there's walking trails, right?
Yes, there are.
And you said there's a dog park also at Warmont Park, right?
That's correct.
And isn't the Oakleaf Trail, doesn't the Oakleaf Trail run through Warmont Park or into Warmont Park?
It does go through it.
Right, there's trails you can run on from Cudahy in Warmont Park and head north if you wanted to, right?
Yes, there's one paved path that goes to the park for the Oakleaf Trail.
And there's even races that go through there. There's the South Shore Half Marathon, for example, that runs through that area, right?
There have been, yes.
So the park, when you say secluded, you're referring to that little beach area, but the park itself is not a secluded park, right?
That would be correct, yes.
In fact, it's a heavily trafficked park with lots of activities, right?
Yes, that part of the park where the pump house is located isn't as traveled as the other sections, but yes.
Right. And I think I heard you say before that a person, if they wanted to, can walk along the beach north to south or south to north. Didn't you say that?
Yes, I did.
In other words, where you find the leg, if a person had wanted to, they could walk up and down that beach north if they wanted to.
Yes.
Okay. And in fact, there's other parks that even connect in with it. There's Grant Park to the south, isn't there?
Yes, there is.
And Pulaski Park to the west?
Yes, but it doesn't really connect much.
And even Sheridan Park to the north, which you testified to, right?
Yes.
Thank you, that's all.
State?
Nothing further.
Thank you, officer. You may step down.